Hello? Can you hear me? Can you see me? Can you dig it? Let me know. And Mandy, you don't want to try putting Botrix into timeout. Botrix will put you into timeout, don't forget that. Him have the power. Yes, yes and yes. Good. Glad to hear it. Oh, well, it is absolutely roasting here today. It was cold-ish when I went out for my walk earlier. And now that I'm sat in the house, it is warm as balls. It's ridiculous. Chatbot is here to keep you company. There you go. He said it himself. Yeah. I thought someone was ripping Velcro earlier on, but it was me. It was me balls coming off my thighs when I stood up earlier. So yeah, I do look a bit pink. I've been running around. I had to take the fastest sperm home from work. So yeah, she's had a good day today. Obviously, it's been warm. It's been sunny. So she's been busy down at the fair. There's been lots of queues. Queues mean customers. Customers means being busy. Plus, she's had coffee. So she's delighted with that. I think they've been a bit quiet the last couple of weeks because the weather's been bloody awful. So it's been too quiet and they've had nothing to do. Whereas today, it's been busy, so she's happy. Good sign that. And also, it's a good sign that when she worked there last year, it was her first summer job. She didn't really know what she was doing. She kept telling us, I don't know what I'm doing. Whereas this year, she's now a pro. Yes, Jess, we are talking about you. She knows what she's doing. She's a pro. So it's going well. I'm delighted. Rather than being on the verge of tears on the way home in the car, this time she's bragging about how good she is. Yes, the second you get on here, Jess, we are talking about you. How could you have a stream without you? How could I have a video without you? You're omnipresent. You're like piles. Yeah, but welcome. Yeah, everyone come down to Pleasureland. I would second that. If you're in the northwest or close to the northwest, come to Southport, go to Pleasureland. Rotten Row is just round the corner from it, so you can go and do my little walk that I did. And then you can go and tell my daughter how fantastic she is, because she never hears it from me on account of the fact that she's a little knob. But she's working hard. Never decided to come home with me to say happy birthday to her nan, though. No. Never thought of doing that. Evil little sod. Yeah, today's a strange day because it's my mum's birthday. And also, it would have been mine and Jess's mum's wedding anniversary. We got married on the same day that me mum's birthday, so it's a bit of a strange one. But, you know, these things happen. And I bought me mum a nice bottle of wine with alcohol in it, obviously, because other people can enjoy it. I can't. Shout out to the nan. Yeah, big up the nan, man. In it, fam. Happy birthday to Nick's mum. Yes, Mandy. Yep, very happy birthday. My dad bought her a Ninja foodie fryer thing, and we had our first Ninja food today, so I'm Ninja inside and out. It was really good. Thank you, Lizzie. Thank you, Kirsty. Thank you, Mandy. Thank you, Jess. Evil. Yeah. 71 this year, me mum. My dad will be 71 in October. Neither of them look anywhere near that age. And I was talking to someone the other day about it, and I can't remember who it was. But when I was growing up, people in the 30s were old. And I know for all kids, when you're 7 or 8, anyone in the 30s is old. But I mean, when I was growing up, people in the 30s looked older than people in the 50s and 60s do now. They used to dress really old. You'd have a fella who's 33 pottering around in the garden. What? I mean, now I don't dress like I'm my age. Many will tell you I should do, but no. I wouldn't even know where to start. Where do the fellas get them car coats from? Everyone used to wear them, all the same ones. You used to get a brown and beige or a blue and dark blue one. Like a Harrington jacket with a thing on the back. Oh, it's bizarre. Yeah, it was definitely, Lizzie, it was definitely an old people's uniform. And women used to wear tabards all the time. maybe that was just where I grew up. Every woman dressed as though they were a cleaner in a pub, even though I know not all of them were. They all wore the same outfit, either a blue and white check or a white and pink checked sort of tabard with hands in the front. Dinner lady stuff, you know what I mean, don't you? But yeah, Lizzie, we don't know how to get old, our generation. You are 100% right. I think possibly we're the first generation who went, no, we're not getting old. We're just being us until the day we drop down and get ferried into the hospital like I did. But at least when I went in, I was looking mighty fine. Actually, I wasn't. I looked an absolute scruff because I was working from home, so shorts and a t-shirt, pretty much like today. Absolute meth, but you know what, you don't really care about that stuff, do you? And it was less for them to cut me out of or to drag me out of, so yeah. A lot better than who are these? At what point in your life do you turn into one of those fellas who wears a suit and tie, or a shirt and tie rather, every day of their life? They'll get up and get dressed as though they're going to work in an office. I mean, I work in an office and I don't dress like that. But you see them all the time. It doesn't matter where they go. They're always got a shirt and tie on. Lizzie, I did have clean underwear on when the stroke happened. I'm not sure about afterwards. I went a little bit numb at that point. Yes, I did. I didn't have a shower that morning. I was about to get me glass of water, my bottle of water and me headache tablets, and then go and have a shower. And unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to because I ended up getting carted out in an Eno. Yeah, the pale pink and lavender hair. Is Jess still here? Jess has currently got, what colour's your hair at the moment? Is it plum? Is it purple? Is it deep purple? Good band. If Dan's still watching, good band. Yeah. And you want it to look natural, don't you, Jess? And trust me, no one's got naturally purple hair, so it's going to have to change. And by the way, I think I might be getting mine done purple again next time you come round, so just warning you. Yeah, Steve, Bricky's wearing shirts and ties back in the day as well. Everyone used to. I mean, Grandad used to work on the docks. Horrible manual labour. Humping shite from one place to another. Same thing, shirt and tie. Now, obviously, you'd be wearing a high vis and a hard hat. Back then, no. Just watch out for that swinging hook on a bit of rope or something, or chain. I couldn't do that kind of job. Jeez, I couldn't do that kind of job. I used to do a little bit of work for a couple of people that were doing, I wouldn't say they were brickies, they were sort of masters of none. They used to do loads of stuff. They would do some building, they'd do some renovation work. And that was hard enough, and all I was doing was humping shite around. I used to demolish places and I'd put it in a skip. I did enjoy it, but that was hard work. I don't know how you do it, mate, especially if you're outdoors during the summer in this kind of heat. Doing that manual labour. I'm not even in an office, I'm in the house, sat at a desk, and I still moan about everything. Because, well, let's face it, I'm an old man, we're allowed to moan. Louise, Dad wore a suit, an overcoat, a Homburg, and spats when he went out. Now that, I'll be quite happy if that look comes back. That sounds epic. Genuinely fantastic. I'll be up for that. Maybe we need to swap things around a bit, and the youth who are coming through need to go back to dressing like that, like those sappers in Africa. All the fellas who dress in the really gregarious coloured suits, look dressed up to the nines. Maybe that's the next trend. Rather than walking around with the jeans down by their ankles, their arse hanging out, maybe it'll be suits. You never know. People dressing like Cat from Red Dwarf. I'd be up for that. And I wouldn't mind if the mod thing came back, but not with Paul Weller as the figurehead, because as much as I loved him in the Jam and the Style Council, he does me head in, and I'm sick to death of seeing fellas who were in the 50s and possibly sometimes in the 60s with that stupid bloody haircut. Every mod revival gig you go to, they've got that same stupid feathered sort of, I don't know, Rod Stewart look even. Yeah. That needs to go, definitely, because it's really annoying me. You see them at the footy all the time. There's a lad on Twitter, Bruce Gorry, who said that the haircut that they've got, they all obviously get the same haircut as Paul Weller, so he calls them Wellends. And it was a hashtag that ended up absolutely booming. And whenever anyone goes out, loads of them at a footy, like I said, whenever anyone goes out and spots one in the wild, they always take a picture of it and lash it on Twitter with the hashtag Wellend. And there are so many of them. I mean, come on. It's 2023. I had to check the calendar then. You can have a decent haircut and still dress nice. You don't have to look like that. It's really ridiculous. But yeah, jeez, it is warm today. Is it warm anywhere else? Don't even know what's the temperature is. I need to check this one out, don't I? Like Spencer does on Embrace the Stuck on the Fireside chats. 17 degrees Celsius. That's not that hot, is it? But the window is there and the sun is there. So for the first half of the day, the sun is that way and it's cold in here. Second half of the day, it's absolutely boiling. It's horrible. Yep, Lizzie, the Gallaghers, like they're stuck in the 90s. They're like people in the 90s stuck in the 60s, so it's a double bubble with them. I can only imagine, Liam must have a few quid, so I can imagine that he's got a walk-in wardrobe, and in there will be 2 t-shirts, 1 pair of jeans, and 700 coats. That's all he seems to wear. It doesn't matter what time of the day, what the weather is, he's wearing a coat. I don't know how he manages it, while singing at the same time, and floodlights hitting him and all kinds of stuff. Speaking of the Gallaghers, me and the daughter are going to watch Noel Gallagher at the Echo Arena in Liverpool in December. If you'd have said to me a couple of years ago even that was going to happen, I would say you were talking absolute shabite. But no, all of a sudden she's into a lot of the music that I'm into. And we're not going to see 5 Seconds of Summer. She can go with her mum to see that. We're not seeing One Direction. We're going to see someone who can actually play and sing. Should be decent, hopefully. Well, if he plays some Oasis stuff anyway. I like some of his newer stuff, but not the same. Even though, to be honest with you, I like Oasis, but they are one of the most overrated bands in history. To be fair, you could play the entire Oasis catalogue with 1 drum beat. I'm not even joking with that, you could do. And a lot of the stuff was stolen, just from other people. I mean, if you like Slade and T-Rex, you'd be annoyed at Oasis because a lot of the stuff was just stolen from them. And of course, Whatever was stolen from Neil Innes. How Sweet to Be an Idiot. Just line for line, every single note's the same. It's ridiculous. Saying that, I do like them, and I have them on in the car. But I won't be listening to people who tell me they're the greatest rock band of all time. I just wish Noel Gallagher was as talented as he seems to think he is. Because he plays a lot of the stuff that I learned in the second week that I was playing guitar. It doesn't take long to be able to play like Noel. Jess, if you're still here, I will teach you to play like him, and it will take us about 20 minutes. Dead easy. Lizzie, you know what? This is something I was going to bring up as well. I know, I think Daniel and Spencer got an issue with Blair. I didn't see why, but I saw Blair live in Liverpool back in 1991, just before they really hit the big time. They'd only had 1 album out, I think, at that point, which was Leisure. There's No Other Way was just out, so it hadn't become a big hit. There's 500 of us in Mountfield Hall in the Liverpool Uni, and they were absolutely superb. And to this day, I say that Blair are much better than Oasis. And anyone who says that Oasis sound like the Beatles, I've got no idea why. And I want a couple of songs that ended up playing some old Beatles style instruments. Some of the sort of the backing stuff that they do. But they don't sound anything like the Beatles. Blair to me always did. To me, every Blair album is the same as every Beatles album, where every song is completely different. There'll be a pastiche, there'll be a 2-minute punk song, there'll be some kind of ballad on there, there'll be some rocky stuff, there'll be just everything's completely different. That's what the Beatles used to do. So yeah, I'll always stick up for Blair, but I like both of them. You are allowed to like both. Don't have to be one or the other. It's the same as Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier. I liked both of them. Don't have to be in one camp. You can like both. Beatles and the Stones, like both of them as well. That's what being an adult is like, and that's why I try and teach Jess. It's the same thing. Just like what you like. Doesn't matter. Again, there's no guilty pleasures. Radiohead, Lizzie, same thing. And I'm going to annoy a couple of you that are in the chat at the moment. There's some stuff going on YouTube that I don't like and I don't get. Music-wise, unless you like Ren or Nightwish, which I don't like either of them at all, then YouTubers, music-wise, useless. Because that's all there is out there at the moment. And I know if this is your job, this is your living, this is how you make your money, you have to chase those views, and those are two of the biggest ones at the moment, so fair play. But for me, if it's music-wise, I have to go and find it somewhere else. I'll go and get podcasts, or I'll go and just listen to Spotify. I just don't get it. With Ren, I understand why people like him as a person, genuinely. He comes across as a great lad. The stuff he's doing on YouTube with letting people react to his stuff and interacting with people, totally get that. I don't get the genius thing now. And also, next time you're in one of his videos or his lives or his chats, whatever, have a look at the copy and paste stuff that's going on. There seems to be a lot of bots or a lot of people that have got no individuality in how they respond. It's just absolutely identical, which I don't like. The genius side of things, no, sorry, I just don't get it. Radiohead, yes, absolute genius. Pushing the envelope all the time. Trying to do things that might not be palatable to everyone, but they are trying to push things. So when I listen to music that I want to, I don't know, make me think, make me feel something I haven't felt before, I'll always be attracted to bands like Radiohead or The Divine Comedy. Usually with band members who are, some of them are classically trained. I mean, Johnny Greenwood from Radiohead is classically trained as a composer. I think he does all the arrangements and composition. And Joby Talbot in The Divine Comedy is the same. He also did the theme tune to The League of Gentlemen, bizarrely, but there you go. But that's stuff like that I love. That's why I listen to music sometimes that is difficult to listen to. So if you listen to any of my playlists, and I've tried to force some of these playlists on Jess, because some of them are loaded with indie, so there's going to be stuff that she likes, but there'll be things in there that are really difficult to listen to, and if you can get through that, you learn a hell of a lot, especially as a musician or a wannabe musician. I learn loads, not just by playing the Beatles stuff, but by listening to prog rock and trying to follow what they were doing. Learn so much, so that the stuff that I write isn't prog, and it isn't just straightforward sort of pop or whatever you want to call it, or chart music. I can do some really intricate and delicate stuff because I've learned a huge amount, and then I'll throw something in that's ridiculously noisy and loud, because I love punk as well. So I like that extension of what you're listening to. Listen to things that are difficult. If you have to listen to something that really does grab your attention, you have to really listen and concentrate, you'll learn more. But yeah, Lizzie's levelled up, well done. Human League, yeah, I love the Human League. Duran Duran, Spandau Ballet, same things. Again, I hope at some point Jess starts getting back into some of the 80s stuff that I like as well, because there's some great stuff back then. If you ever watch BBC 4 on a Friday night, the Top of the Pops reruns, and then compare them to what Top of the Pops was like sort of in the 2000s and onwards, it's night and day. In the 70s and 80s, you'd have a reggae song, a 2-minute punk song, a straightforward rock song, Grandad We Love You by Clive Dunn, or the Birdie song. There'd be just all kinds of random stuff, and then there'd be a disco song. And every week it was the same. It was just full of lunatic stuff. That's why a lot of people growing up at that age and that era have got a larger taste in music rather than again, this is why I started going mad about YouTube at one point. This algorithm, tickling the algorithm. If you watch people, the YouTube gurus and tech gurus, they will tell you what a great YouTube thumbnail is, and it's always the same. They want everything to look the same. They want your content to be the same because it tickles an algorithm. And if you keep doing this, it's going to be like the Stepford Wives. We're all just going to look the same. Every single thumbnail is going to have one of them on there, soy face. They're going to have the same colour schemes. They're going to have the same content being just done over and over and over again. There's no individuality. Spotify's the same. It's there specifically to get 14-year-old girls replaying the same music over and over again, because that makes money. It'll make money through advertising for the people that don't pay for Spotify. It'll just carry on and carry on. So they keep pushing the same songs, the top 10 in Spotify. I don't know who they are. I don't know the difference between them, because every song sounds the same, written to a formula. And it was the same during the 90s or 80s and 90s. 80s when you had Stock Aitken and Waterman. They were a little bit more, at least they tried to do something a bit different from time to time. But I can't remember the fella's name. The Swedish, there's a great BBC4 documentary about Swedish pop music. There's like a factory, a pop factory. And they wrote to a formula. So during the late 90s and through the 2000s, every song that was in the charts, you could sit there and go, right, this is going to happen next. This is going to happen next. Because every single one did exactly the same. Why are we not allowing new bands that play in pubs around the corner? Why aren't these getting a chance? They did in the 70s. They did in the 80s. But yeah, it's just... yeah, Lizzie drafted a Pink Pound, which sounds like a nightclub that we need to avoid. But yeah, there's going to be a backlash at some point on both sides of things. On YouTube, eventually, people are just going to say, no, that's it, enough's enough. Can't keep watching the same rubbish over and over again. There has to be some individuality. There has to be something that I'm not getting. It's not just the music, it's cars as well. I absolutely love cars. I'm obsessed with them. And at the moment, it seems to be every car channel that I watch is in love with and constantly obsessed with Range Rover L322 models, BMWs or Mazda MX-5s, and I'm sick of seeing them. I've seen enough of them now. I know what they sound like. I know what size engines they've got. I know how they handle. I've seen them around the Nürburgring a million times. I haven't seen a Range Rover around the Nürburgring. I'd watch that, but apart from that, no, I just can't be doing with it. So I will watch, when it comes to the car side of things, I'll watch things like Furious Driving and Hubnut, where they go back to cars that I saw next door and on our street when I was growing up. They just had the Festival of the Unexceptional, which is a car meet for like base model cars, just rubbish, you'd say. No supercars, no Range Rovers, old Vauxhall Cavaliers and Vauxhall Chevettes, old Ford Escorts, Daihatsus and things like that. Just the average car that your person in your street, your neighbour had. That I'll watch because it's more interesting. I don't want to watch supercars. I'll never own one. I don't care how fast they go because you can't go that fast. I don't care about Range Rovers because I've seen enough of them. But my dad had a Ford Sierra, the XR4i. So give me an old Ford Sierra and I'll be happy watching stuff about that. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen too often because they're all chasing the same thing, which is the L322 Range Rover crowd, the BMW crowd. I mean, Auto Alex, huge channel. And every other car that you get in is either an MX-5 or a BMW. Come on, mate, change it. Eventually, he's going to end up dropping loads of people because they won't be asked watching the same rubbish over and over again. Right, but I know, Louise, I know the reactors go for rent because they know it won't get blocked or claimed, which is brilliant. That is a work of genius by him, so I will give him that. If you want to grow your brand, do the opposite of what the Eagles do. It's always a good thing to do. What would the Eagles do? Just do the opposite. If you've got the whole of YouTube on your side for doing that, fair play to you. So I will say, Ren, good lad for doing that. But he's not a genius when it comes to the music. Just, okay, if you like it, you like it. I don't have to. But, and again, I'm going to put my foot down and be a bombastic bastard with this one. I've been playing guitar for 35 years now, and I've been writing music that entire time. I know what it takes to write a song. I know how easy it can be, how difficult it can be, and I understand how, when people throw around the word genius, if I can just pick a guitar up and play exactly what they've done with no effort whatsoever, and I don't have to listen to what they've done 4 or 5 times to work it out, then it's not genius. If anyone learning can play what they do within seconds, there's a beauty in simplicity, but if it's constantly the same thing, it's just constantly, this is real basic music, then it's not genius for me, I'm sorry. Yeah, Steve, that's first time watching Ren, first time watching Nightwish. That is just YouTube constantly. So I have to keep swiping away from it and saying, no, I need to find something different. Music-wise, there are some channels, Jim Newsted, he does lots of prog stuff. So even though some of them he's going back and doing second watches, I don't mind doing that, because I like the old prog stuff, and seeing someone learning, genuinely listening to music for the first time, I don't mind. There's just so much on YouTube which is utter shit when it comes to first time listening to. Come on, really. It's going to be first time listening to Imagine by John Lennon, or first time listening to, Smells Like Teen Spirit, Nirvana. I always use them two as examples, because if you've made it until any kind of age at all, you will have heard them 2 songs, whether you've got a radio or not. If you walk past a shop, at some point you will hear those songs. You cannot possibly get to this point and never have heard them at all, so I'm not having it. And you can tell, you genuinely tell with people, if it's the first time they've ever heard something, I can tell anyway, or 99.9% of the time I can tell. It's just, sometimes I've seen them occasionally, first time listening to a song, and you see them halfway through and their lips are mumbling along because they know the words. Utter rubbish. But I like what Dan's doing with, this is not the first time I've seen this, not the first time I've heard this song, so I'm going to go and watch the live version of it, because I've definitely never heard the live versions. Fair enough, do that, be honest about it. I've heard this music. So I've just seen the top there, Steve, Justin Hawkins Rides Again. I do occasionally watch that. I like him, he seems a decent lad, and he's doesn't normally try and be a knob for the sake of being a knob, if you know what I mean. He'll call people out if they need calling out on things, so I quite like that. Yeah, but I am definitely up for the backlash, because I'm sick of it. Sick of seeing the same things over and over again. And that's why I did say on the beginning of my channel, I don't care what the gurus say. I'm going to make whatever thumbnails I want. I'm going to use whatever titles I want. I'm going to make whatever videos I want. This isn't about making money. I haven't got to do this as a job. I've got a full-time job, which is a decent job, and I've got a really good pension at the end of it, so I'm happy having that. This is something where I can't play guitar anymore, or until that thing is fixed. It's an outlet for me, and it's also something that I might be able to look back on in 10 years' time and go, geez, how bad was I back then? But I managed to drag myself through it. And if anyone's watching who has had a stroke or has had some kind of serious illness, it's a documentary of, I was bad, I'm getting better, this is what I do day to day, this is what I'm capable of doing, these are the things that I am not capable of doing. But you've just got to, for me, I've just got to keep on doing it, because that's all it is. I'm not chasing, I haven't got to do it for a living, I'm not chasing the views. If I get monetised, then it helps pay for some of the materials, some of the tech. It pays for filming software that you have to pay for every month and stuff like that, then so be it. I'd love that. And it'd be nice to get to that 1,000 subs and 4,000 watch hours, because it's a big deal. I was watching something earlier on which said there was only a small percentage of YouTube creators overall who actually reach that level. It's not a lot at all. So those that are there should be proud. And I mean, Daniel and Spencer getting to 100,000, it is a very, very small amount. It doesn't look like it because we see them all the time on YouTube, but in the grand scheme of things, it's a very, very small percentage of people who ever get that any kind of play button, whether it's the silver, the gold, or the diamond. So anyone that reaches monetization and reaches a play button should be proud of themselves for that. But for me, if it never happens, I don't care. I can come on and talk to you wonderful people. I'm part of a fantastic community that I really do cherish. During one of the worst times of my life, during the worst time of my life, I had something that I could be a part of. I couldn't leave the house, couldn't go to my mates, couldn't go to the pub and see my mates like I used to do. So I could just sit on the sofa having a cup of tea and being part of brewing banter and rumming rants in the RDA and all that whole little sort of subset, this little community that's developed out the back of that. So I'm delighted with that. Yes, Botrix, Nick really is that needy. Keep on telling them this because I am. But yeah, Louise, yeah, definitely the symphonic metal. Now, I like classical music. I like some metal. Symphonic metal, I'm not 100% down with, but I do like Muse and things like that, so it's not that far away. But I mean, Nightwish, the reason why I don't like it is because to me it just sounds like an Iron Maiden tribute band with a lead singer whose mum used to be an opera singer. It's just, I just don't get what the genius is from it. And while I'm on a rant, sorry, AC/DC, it's just pub rock. Genuinely just pub rock. I don't know why Angus Young is wearing that outfit that he does and shaking his head, headbanging at what? Pop music with the gain turned up to 11, that's it. Straightforward stuff. It's not genius. I think it's the kind of stuff that, like I say, you learn that in your second week of playing guitar and you should move on from that in your third week. They've made a career out of it, and if that's what you like, fine. But I'm just sick of people telling me things are genius when I could play it left-handed if needed be. It's ridiculous. Yeah, the bots are in there. Oh, Lizzie, I love being cherished. My ego, which doesn't exist, flourishes at times like this. But it does take all sorts. Again, this goes back to the guilty pleasures. You like what you like, and you like it for the reasons that you like. And that's fine. Again, it wouldn't do for everyone to like the same things, which is why I don't like Spotify, why I don't like the algorithms. The issue that I've got, apart from not being able to breathe, is with that thing about telling people it's genius. Again, Ren, when you look through the comments, it's always, "Hi Ren, I'm 50 years of age and I've never heard anything like yours before. You are a genius." Did it repeat till fade? It's the same thing over and over again. If people want to tell me what is genius about it, I will sit and listen, but they can't because it's not. And again, the same with AC/DC. I've had people trying to convince me how great they are, and I just picked the guitar up and then played whatever they do, and then played something similar to what AC/DC do, made it up on the spot because it's just that easy. There's nothing. There's other bands and other players that I could practice for the next 20 years and I couldn't get close to. Again, there's some Radiohead stuff that I'll try and play and think, oh my word, how on earth have they come up with this? This is just too complicated for my brain to even consider trying to play. To calm myself down, I go and play some AC/DC because it's just that easy. That kind of stuff. So if you're going to tell me someone's a genius, make sure they are. That's all I'm saying. But like whatever you like. Steve, how do I rate? Now how do I hate Ed Sheeran? No, actually I got the right way around. I hate Ed Sheeran. Ed Sheeran is a busker that got out of hand. He should go back to being a busker. That's all he is. That's all he's capable. Him and that stupid little 3/4 guitar that I'd like to smash into a million pieces. This is ruining music. Absolute bollocks like that. I'd get rid of loop pedals. I'd get rid of buskers being given £1 million recording contracts, because it's killing me inside bit by bit. You can go to any town, any city in the UK and go to, I don't know, a local pub or club or whatever little, like the Cavern Club or the Cavern Pub on a Monday night. Ian Prowse from Pele and Amsterdam, he hosts just a open mic night, and the only thing you can't do, it's open mic, you can do poetry, you can go and do music, you can do whatever you feel like. You're not allowed to do any cover versions. Everything you do has to be your own self-written stuff. And there's been people in there, bands in there, that are absolutely fantastic. Now, that, to me, if you get A&R people coming in, they should be watching stuff like that and getting these people and going, right, come along with us. Shake up music again. It can't carry on being the same. You can't just rely on bands like Radiohead and the Arctic Monkeys, or, you know, these bands, sort of heavyweight indie bands coming through to provide the counterpoint to the same rubbish over and over again. It needs to change. Genius doesn't necessarily equate to difficulty, Lizzie, not at all. You can be genius by doing the most simplistic things, but there has to be something behind it. For something simple to work, there has to be something behind it. It can't just be, I've written this in 2 minutes, get to number one. There's got to be something to it. The music can be simple. The lyrics have to have something that you can hang your hat on. Never mind your soul. You can't do anything with this. There's some absolute rubbish that is, I don't know how it's managing to reach anywhere in the charts, never mind how it's being put forward as being genius, because these things literally aren't. Anyone can do it. And anyone can do it as well as some of these people. They're just not being given a chance. I mean, I'm not the best singer in the world. I can hold a tune. I could write 5 or 6 albums worth of Ed Sheeran material easily. Well, I could if my hand wasn't knackered, but it's that simple. You could get ChatGPT or any AI bot to write the lyrics, because there's nothing spectacular about them. There's nothing, I don't know, there's nothing groundbreaking about any of it. Or at least nothing that I've heard that's hit me. I used to listen to music all the time where I just had to stop at the end of it and go, oh my word, what was that? And I can't remember the last time I had to do that. Again, Paranoid Android by Radiohead, I think possibly one of the last times I just stopped the car and had to listen to it. Because I've not heard anything like that. Maybe not for a long time anyway. Someone coming from the prog rock background, I recognised a lot of what was going on, but like this is on the radio, what is going on here. And I love that. But when it's just the same thing over and over and over again, I think that's the reason why dance music ended up making a bit of a comeback, because it's honest in its simplicity. But it drags people. It can drag you somewhere without having words. It's got hooks in there. There's something about it that can, I don't know. You can drag an entire club along at the same time with just the music. I don't get anything like that with these bands or these artists. And again, John Lennon, things like Working Class Hero, not a particularly or specifically, whatever that is, difficult song to play or to write or to sing. But when you put those lyrics on top of it, that is something that's missing. There's a depth to it that just doesn't exist anymore. Everyone nowadays is about as deep as a puddle. Where's the next group coming through of stuff that you can really look back on in 20 years' time and go, that was absolute insanity level genius. No, I don't know, but no, tunes are local state. I refuse to listen to the radio, and the same reason why I refuse to watch the news or read a newspaper. I haven't read the newspaper in about 15 years. I don't want any part of that life, that world. I'll find out what's going on for myself. Don't want any of it. Everyone's got their own angle. Not having that. Yeah, Lizzie, a lot of stuff that's in the chart now has been put on TikTok and then is discovered. This happens quite a lot, and what a great song that is. Yeah, of course it's a great song. It's a classic from days gone by. I've never heard it before. Well, no, of course you don't. You listen to the same shit over and over again. Change the radio station yourself if you think that is genius. Change to a classic station and listen to all the genius stuff that was going on. It reminds me actually, if Jess is still here, there was a thing going back a while ago. Remember Commander Chris Hadfield, is it the Canadian astronaut who took his guitar with him and played Space Oddity? And it come on one day and she was listening to it and sang along. I was like, what on earth? How have you learned this? The teacher in school had made them watch it, and while he was playing, they learned the song. I thought that was brilliant. And then a couple of days later, there was she started singing, I heard it through the grapevine, and I was like, my heart I was so proud. And she followed that up with National Accident Helpline. It'd been used as a TV advert, and when she sang that second line, I heard it through the grapevine, National Accident Helpline, my heart sank. But I was just so close to having a daughter who got into proper music, and then a few years later, she loves the Arctic Monkeys, which, trust me, is a mile away from One Direction. So I'm buzzing. Steve, I'm not a Radio 6 snob. I did used to listen to Radio 6, but even that now, just a lot of it is either playing the same things over and over again, or they're going too far, trying to be too eclectic and like, look how fantastic we are. We know all about these bands that you don't know about. Well, sound, give me some of that, but throw some stuff in that I can also compare it to, and then let things progress from there. Too much new stuff at once, people switch off from, even me. One of the best things I've found has been the Spotify recommended or Discover Weekly. I mean, it does recommend stuff that I've already put on playlists, and it must know that I have done. But yeah, I found some great stuff on there. I found bands I'd never heard of before, and then ended up really getting into them. So I think Spotify does that quite well, if you allow it to. If, on the other hand, you just keep on playing the same rubbish that they suggest, they'll never find anything new. One of my mates on Twitter as well, you might know him, Bad Wool. He's a spoken word artist called Roy. He does the occasional radio show where he will play loads of music that he's bought, and he goes and finds obscure stuff and loads of Brazilian stuff, but he'll do that and then he'll mix it up with some classic stuff as well at the same time. So I listen to a lot of his radio shows that he does, and it's nice being able to pick out some stuff occasionally. Like, I'll listen to that I don't quite get, but I'll give that a go some other time. This is something I remember, I'll listen to that now. I like learning that kind of stuff. It's weird. I'm thinking about it now. It's weird that that's how I find music. How did I find it back in the day? It was through word of mouth. It was either reading music newspapers or reading interviews with a band that you liked, and they said who their favourite band was. So you listen to their favourite band and work your way backwards. And 9 times out of 10, it got back to the Beatles, or it got back to the likes of blues, Howlin' Jimmy Jefferson. No, he was the spirit of jazz, wasn't he, on the Mighty Bush? People like that, Robert Johnson, Howlin' Wolf, or Lemlar. So you went one way, or you went to the Beatles, and then Chuck Berry and Little Richard, and that going back from the Beatles. So it was that kind of thing for me. Listening to like Marillion, not just Kaylee, the early stuff, and hearing Fish talking about Peter Hamill being one of his favourite artists from Van de Graaff Generator. So I moved backwards to Van de Graaff Generator, which, by the way, in terms of prog, is on another level completely. if I'm trying to get people into prog rock, that is the final boss when it comes to prog. There's done an album called Porn Hearts. There's a song on it called A Plague of Lighthouse Keepers, which I think is 28 minutes long. It's one of the most difficult songs to listen to when you first get into it. But it's something I now put on. If I'm struggling to sleep, I'll put that on, and it's something I can lose myself in completely. Strange. I think that happens with music with me. I can do that. Not everyone can. And just say 30-minute song, and just my brain switches off completely, goes on autopilot because I know it so well, and I let it wash all over me. The radio, I mean, I can't work with a radio on in work. We're not allowed to, because it's a government building, and we do answer phones, and they don't like stuff like that. So thankfully I miss out on quite a bit. But then I find myself, like when I used to go to meet barbers over the road, she'd always have the same radio station on, and it just sounded like the same song over and over again. It used to annoy me. But everyone wears headphones in our work, thankfully, because I think I'd end up getting really annoyed with some of the people in there. There's only so often you can hear Mr. Brightside by the Killers without wanting to murder someone, really, isn't there? Isn't there? It's not just me. Please tell me it's not just me. Reggae Sunsplash. You know, Mandy, you have to tell me what that is, Reggae Sunsplash. Is that anything to do with Real Sun Centre? Never heard of it. There's buying tapes and CDs and experiment what you liked. I remember moved back to England 1985. I was into Frankie Goes to Hollywood, Talk, The Cure, Tears for Fears, bands like that, the Smiths, and loads of punk and ska in the 70s and 80s. Bad Manners, The Selector, The Specials, Madness, all that kind of gear, which I absolutely loved. And then I ended up hanging around with my mates, Eddie and Neil, who were into prog rock. So I'd never heard even a quarter of what was going on. Yes, I think it's probably one of my favourite, if not my favourite band of all time. They're in the top two. I'd heard Owner of a Lonely Heart, but never heard any of the prog stuff. And then they ended up home taping as Killing Music. Used to record albums for me. I'd listen to some stuff. Then I found my way into it. And then I'd find stuff that they hadn't got. And I'd go and buy it. And then would go to Backtracks, which was a second-hand record shop in Liverpool, just around the corner on the same road as Probe, the famous Liverpool record shop that Pete Burns used to work in. We were scared to go in there because if you picked something up and took it to the desk that you didn't like, you'd throw it across the room and tell you to F off. So we used to go to Backtracks instead, and downstairs and go and buy second-hand albums on vinyl, of which I've still got loads of them, with $2.99 written inside them, because that's how much they used to cost. So I bought loads of Yes, Genesis, Van de Graaff Generator, King Crimson, all that stuff. But at the same time, I was still buying the Smiths, a lot of that 80s indie stuff, the Blue Nile, the Associates. And I'd end up buying stuff on the strength of what the cover looked like. It was in a certain section, so you knew what kind of music it was going to be. And if the cover looked alright, we'll give that a go. If it's no good, it's £3 down the drain. If it's decent, we'll make a copy and everyone will get it. And I did that with, I bought an album by a band from Norwich, I think it might have been, called The Bardos. The album's called I Baby, and the front cover, I think it's like a red rose, or it's got red roses on the front of it, and the cover looked fantastic. And I knew it was an indie album. It was on Cherry Red Records, and it was in the indie section, so I bought it on the strength of the cover. And it turned out to be an absolutely fantastic album, which I've still got. Can't find it anywhere on any streaming platform. So I've got it in the car, and whenever I want to listen to it, that's the only place I can listen, really. So I like that. Mixtapes. I miss them. Mixtapes and their grown-up cousin, the compilation CD that I used to make in the house. I used to use them as diaries. Whatever I was listening to, I'd put on a CD, and then I'd make artwork for it and do track listings, and I'd print a label for the cover of it and all kinds of stuff. And I've still got loads of them left. But I've now got playlists on Spotify, and it's the same thing. I play them in the car when Jess is in there with her mates, giving her stuff to listen to that hopefully she might go, what's that? I like that. But when I'm listening to them, I can remember where I was or what was happening when this particular song, when I was listening to this song at that point. And then when you hear 2 or 3 songs in a row, it brings back memories. I know what's coming next. I know what I was doing at that time. Oh yeah, I love stuff like that. I think playlists, if Spotify keep them and don't start deleting them after they reach a certain age, I think they're going to be really good sort of historical treasures. Things that you can share. Again, I can share every Spotify playlist with Jess, and you'll just go work your way through them, find stuff that you like. You do a playlist with the stuff that you like and share it with me, and I'll listen to them. And that's the only way at the moment that you can share that kind of that music. Much easier than it ever used to be. Completely different to the way it used to be. No taking mixtapes around to your mate's house to listen to. Just send them over a WhatsApp, and it's done there and then. Is it a good thing? Possibly. We do seem to live in a world that's just everything has to be immediate, unfortunately. Immediate satisfaction. Someone says about a song, you put it on your phone, it's on Spotify or YouTube, it's there. I've had people back in the 80s tell me about albums, and I've had to go and find them. I've had to go and search little backstreet record shops to find them, and when you did find them, held them aloft like you'd won the FA Cup or something. Get home, the bus ride, you'd be reading every single word, every letter that was on the back of the album cover. If it was a gatefold, you'd be opening it up, seeing the artwork, seeing who was on it, who produced it, all these things. And then when you got home, you'd finally put the needle on the record, and it could be awful, or it could be fantastic, but that was part of the journey, was trying to find these things. But it's now, click, no, that's shit, I'm not listening to that. I'm putting Ed Sheeran on instead. Mandy, there's no B-side on Spotify. There is. Not loads, but there's plenty of artists on there that will put the singles on, not just the albums or compilation albums. If you have got the singles, they have got some of the B-sides are on there as well. Thankfully. Because there's some really great songs that I love that were B-sides and you can't find them anywhere else. We've still got tapes and a tape deck and a CD player. Oh, that's absolutely fantastic. I've got a little Walkman cassette thing that you can plug into, or you put a USB in it rather, a USB stick. Press record, and whatever's on the tape will go onto the USB stick. Because me and my mates recorded loads of music when we were 15 or 16 or something, and I managed to keep hold of that, so I've got all this utter shit, to be honest with you, the shit music, but it's what we used to make together, and I can put it on occasionally, and I've shared it with my mate Ed. I shared one of his songs, but I listen to it, and again I'm just back to being in Neil's mum and dad's back room recording it. I can smell the place, I can remember what the cup of tea used to taste like. I can hear the next door neighbour. It's just all of those memories are there. I can remember us recording something and being absolutely over the moon with what we'd done, and then walking down the pub to talk about it. We were 17, 18, you know, it's just, well actually no, we were 15, 16 and still went down the pub because we all looked a little bit older than we were. You know, I was 6'4" and 15 stone. With a straggly beard. Some things never change. But I remember those days. So cassettes, if you got any cassettes, I'd always try and find a way of making sure you can play them. Or get them transferred to digital. CDs. My daughter bought a CD player. because as much as she likes the stuff that she gets on Spotify, she likes the physical feeling of having something like, I own this, and she can put on the CDs while she's doing a cleaning and hoovering and whatever around the bedroom. She's also got a record player now as well, so I've got her into all that. But it is much better. There's cassettes sound better than Spotify, records sound better than Spotify. CDs don't necessarily, because they're compressed as well. But the smell of vinyl, the feel of a record, kids nowadays don't know that a pencil and a cassette, and you can be a sound engineer. You can fix things with your pencil, sorting your tape out. They should know these things should make a comeback. It's more hands-on. It's better. As much as I love Spotify, and I do hammer it constantly. I think we need to get back to that old school. I think so anyway. The good old days. I know that's what everyone says when they get old, but come on, let's face it, the 70s and 80s were the good old days, weren't they? That's why they're so huge now. I don't think any era of music will ever be looked at the same way that the 80s is. Just because the fashion was mental, the music was so strange and crazy at times, and so different to anything that had come before. I don't think we're ever going to have something like that again, and I find it a bit of a shame. I can't say I'm a fan of modern music, Steve, at all. Every now and then something will come on that I just think, oh, that's alright, I'll listen to that. I always tend to be disappointed when I listen to the rest of the stuff. Louise, yeah, Rick Wakeman in a cape. Right now, I love Yes. In 1989, I went to the Birmingham NEC and I saw Anderson, Bruford, Wakeman and Howe. Yes had a problem at the time and split up, and Chris Squire, the bass player, wasn't anything to do with them anymore. He kept the Yes name, and they had to go out with Anderson, Bruford, Wakeman and Howe. And I think Rick Wakeman might have been wearing a cape that day in 1989. And I was gutted because Chris Squire is my favourite bass player of all time, and he wasn't there, so it wasn't Yes. Even though it was Yes, it wasn't Yes, and he wasn't there. And unfortunately he's died, so I'll never get to see him play. But my second favourite bass player of all time, Tony Levin, was playing that night, so I did get to see him, so it took the edge off it. And I got to see Tony Levin again in 1993 when I seen Peter Gabriel in the Sheffield Arena. So I'm delighted to have seen them. Yeah, I'm sure Rick Wakeman was wearing a cape that day. He was on the other side of the stage to where we were. We were in front of Steve Howe, which for a guitarist, being obsessed with Steve Howe, I couldn't have asked for anything better. Rick Wakeman lives in Norfolk somewhere. I can imagine that. I think he was always, as much as he was he was from North London, wasn't he? He was part of that session crowd in London. He always seemed to like being outside of London a bit, and a bit more to the country and a bit more laid back, a bit more chilled. Yeah, I can imagine that. Let's go back. The Fuzzy Little Cloth used to clean an album with Louise, yeah, Blowing on the Needle. It's stuff like that. You don't get it with Spotify. It's the tactile nature of a record. Making sure you hold it correctly, that you're really gentle with it. If you've got your pocket money or you're saved up to buy an album, you don't just want to start throwing it on the record player. You need to make sure you're holding it properly and things like that. It's just, I love that. And that's the reason why I've got a record player, and I never got rid of my vinyl, because I knew I couldn't throw away things that meant so much to me, that had so much history for me. So yeah, I still to this day had to teach my daughter how to hold a record and how to put it on the record player. And I was buzzing when she did it, and she knew exactly what she was doing. That's a dad lesson learned. I love that. Absolutely love it. Casper, how you doing, mate? How's things? Happy days. Is everyone levelling up? Yep. Steve, leveled up to level 3. You'll get past 3, mate. You'll power through this. I know you will. Everyone's levelling up. I'm going to have to work out this levelling up with Botrix, because I'm sure you should have levelled up a bit more last week. I know there was issues with Botrix not appearing, because he's a temperamental little sod. But yeah, hopefully there'll be something. I'll find out how you can level up better and more, consistently, and then I'm going to have to open a Botrix points store to give you something back. So Mandy, I might have to put a bid in for some of the knitted potatoes as prizes. What do points make? Prizes. Jess was here. I'm not sure she still is, because I know she was knackered coming home from work earlier. She looked tired. Normally you can tell when she's tired because she never shuts up, whereas when she's got loads of energy she never fucking shuts up. So you know the difference between the two, but I think she must be probably asleep at this point, unfortunately. Potatoes, yes. The fairy potatoes, I have to say, the fairy potato did look mighty fine earlier. That's a good looking family of potatoes. If you're bored and you've got wool, make a load of them and stick them on Etsy or something, because you will sell them by the hundreds. Genuinely, go and look on Etsy and see some of the stuff that people are buying. That's right down their alley. Potatoes for the win. Cheat mode, yeah, I've just noticed cheat mode. There is cheat mode on there, by the way. I have the power. I can go in and I can change points. I can reset them. It says that you want to reset them every week or every month, so I can do that. But I can go in and can physically overtype what you've got. So if anyone's being particularly good, I can add extra points. And if anyone's being really naughty and very bad and naughty, bad, villainish, I can take points off you. I have the power. I am omnipotent. But apparently Viagra fixes that, doesn't it? Fairy potatoes sucks big time. Now, Lizzie, was that one of the 6 lines we were talking about earlier on? Is that the name of one of them? Because that would make a lot of sense, that one. The russet Burbank. Yeah, that is the McDonald's potato. I watched something about that the other day and I don't know where it was. That was something on YouTube, some random thing that came up. Yeah, it was all about the russet Burbank. I'd never heard of russet Burbank potato. Russet Burbank sounds like one of those 1970s actors, doesn't it? Russet Burbank Jr. or something. When he had his clothes made by Galaxy 500, or whatever those were that made. I bet you appeared in an episode of Columbo, and his hair was perfect. I'm Russet Burbank Jr. Yeah, I'm sure there's one of them. Lizzie, your sons are watching. Lizzie's sons, if you're watching, welcome. Make sure you come here as often as you can, because by the Jesus, I need all the help I can get. Especially when your mum and her mates are picking on me, they're ganging up on me. Terrible, terrible behaviour. Yeah, Ed and Tom, give us a wave. Yeah, I'm waving. Wave back. Come on, let's make this happen. Spread the love, man. My daughter was here earlier on, so it's making this all this big family thing, isn't it? I like that. We are family. I've got my bottle of water with me. Botany 500, that was it, Louise, that was it. Botany 500 and Quincy. I think Botany 500 used to do more than just Quincy. It used to do the clothes for quite a few things, if I remember. Galaxy 500 was a band, wasn't it? It was an indie band from the 90s. And also it was a car. I think it was a Ford Galaxy 500. That's what they were named after. Yeah, Quincy. Quincy was an angry man, wasn't he? I don't know if Jack Klugman was an angry man in real life, but Quincy, he used to bang tables all the time. Just give me this one more chance. It's going mad. Oh, is Quincy on the TV anymore? I know Columbo was on constantly on one of those mad channels around one. Was it ITV4 or something, or ITV3? Around the 120s on Sky. Quincy was boss. I've been watching loads of Lovejoy, like I've mentioned in previous streams. That's been on the drama channel during the day. They were talking about remaking that and having a girl as Lovejoy, which, again, no big deal if it's a male or female, apart from the fact that one of Lovejoy's things is that he was a mad shagger, and he was banging everything that moved, which, for a fella, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, what a lad he is, would it work? What if it was a girl? Because just that the horrible stereotype is for a girl, if she's banging everything that moves in Lovejoy, that she's a slag. Would it work for the TV show? Don't think it'd be nice. To be honest, I don't think it'd be nice if the new Lovejoy was a lad and was doing the same thing, because I think we've just moved on from there, really, haven't we? Should be more like Hawkeye and MASH. If you don't watch MASH, or you haven't watched it for years, he started off being a ladies' man and being successful with the ladies, and as the series went on and on, every season he was getting knocked back constantly because they knew what he was. So it became more of a standing joke that he was constantly missing out on these girls because, yeah, we know who you are. So I think I prefer that. Midsummer Murders. Casper, Midsummer Murders, yeah. How anyone moves to Midsummer is beyond me. It's this quaint English country, is it a county? Is Midsummer a county? And yet it's got a worse homicide rate than Chicago or something, or Detroit. You know, it's mental. People move there and die, and keep on moving there. Just, you'd have a look, wouldn't you? What's the murder rate in Midsummer? Oh, it's 1 in 2 people die within 6 months of being there. I don't think I'll move there. I think I'll take my chances and move to Brixton or something. Yeah. Oh, Quantum Leap. Why have they remade Quantum Leap? Why mess with some things? Need to be left alone. Music and TV need to be left alone. I can see why the A-Team was remade. You can get away with doing that. Quantum Leap. It's Scott Bakula. Is it Bakula or Bakula? I don't know. I never know these things. It just looks like he's, Dracula's neighbour, Scott Bakula. It's him or it's not him. It can't be anyone else. I don't see why you're doing that. But yeah, that's back on as well, isn't it? Quantum Leap. That's on one of the channels on Sky as well. They started on episode 1 of that a few days ago. So if you're missing out, if you're not watching that, let's face it, that was a great programme. That wasn't. When was that on? 90s, on a sort of a 6 o'clock at night kind of thing. After you've had your tea. Mandy, what did you call me? Oh no, sorry, Pick. My eyes must be going. Yeah. Father Brown or Murder, She Wrote. Do you know what? I used to hate Murder, She Wrote, and I still do. But I heard that Angela Lansbury was an absolutely fantastic person, which I never understood, I never realised. There's something to do with American actors that you have to appear in shows every year to keep. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but it's like keeping your pension. Unless you appear, you end up losing money. So she used to make sure that if people were struggling to hit their targets every year, some of her friends or some of the actors more of her age, she'd get them on and just get them on to appear in the show. So that gave them the credits to continue. And I think was Peter Falk the same, or was it Jack Klugman in Quint? I think it might have been Jack Klugman actually. But all these seem to be looking out for their fellow actors, not just being knobheads like, we've got a great show, we're not interested in talking to you anymore. I think it's fantastic. If you're in a position that you can dictate who appears on your show and you can go and help the people that were there when you were around, go and help them. Fantastic. Yeah, Quantum Leap. I love that. Did he ever get home? I can't remember seeing the last episode. Why didn't I see the last episode? Unless it was shown during that sort of late 80s, early 90s where I ended up going to the pub constantly or playing music and I was too cool to watch TV. Why watch the TV? Wouldn't you go and watch the Stone Roses live or something, Yeah, no catch up back then. Lizzie doesn't know. Does anybody know? Do we need to put this on a community tab? Does anyone know if Sam ever helped him get back? Who was Sam? Was Sam his mate? Or was Sam the main character? I can't remember. I know Sam was Derek Acorah's mate, wasn't he? The Sam Can you hear me? Can you hear me? No, of course you can't hear you, mate. No, it doesn't exist. Yeah, I can't remember. It's been that long. I remember liking Quantum Leap, but now I think about it, I can't remember anything about it. So, take no notes. So you did get home. Oh, fair play to you. Sam. Yes, Sam Beckett, that was it, wasn't it? Sam Beckett. You got home. Oh, brilliant. Al, yeah. Al was his mate. Who was, he was a hologram, but couldn't be seen by anyone else. How the fucking hell does that work? If you're a hologram, you can be seen. And if you can't be seen by anyone else, why make him a hologram? Why not just say he's some kind of, I don't know. Oh, I don't know. Going too far into this, aren't we? But yeah, it was a great show. That I thought Scott Bakula. I always thought he was great in it. He just seemed like a normal, he seemed a bit of a goofy, just down to earth normal fella. Like, oh, this could really happen to someone like him. I like that. And it wasn't too harsh. A lot of TV's become too harsh these days. And I'm sick and tired of seeing the same thing every other American TV show that gets shown over here. There's some fella with a square jaw holding a gun. Both hands. Yeah, can I do both hands? Can I? One of them. I don't need to see that anymore. It's all the same shite over and over again. The same stuff that my mum watches constantly. Law and Order, CSI, Miami, NCIS, where else? Just all the same things over and over again. And she'll sit there and go, there's nothing on telly. It's all rubbish. You've got Amazon Prime, Netflix, BritBox. What else have we got? I've got everything. I pay for everything every month. They've got TV coming out their arse and can't ever find anything to watch. So they end up watching the same rubbish US shows or Midsummer Murders, Vera, Endeavour, all the same. It's just it's something dies, something chases the something that killed it. Doesn't matter where it is. Absolute rubbish. And yet I try and tell them to watch, Breaking Bad or The Sopranos or The Wire or something. I know, not interested. Alright, you carry on watching Vera then. You could be watching Albuquerque baking in the sun. Instead you're watching Newcastle pissing down rain. Either way people are dying, but I'd rather watch the sunshine. Yeah, I've got a mock Vera. Sorry Steve, it is piss poor. Plus, living in Middlesbrough for 5 years, we didn't like Newcastle. And I've had to work in Newcastle. I don't mind the place, but the people are sound, but they need to stop talking about football because they go mental at that point. They seem to think Newcastle are a big team because they've got a big stadium and nothing else to do in Newcastle and only one club in the city. Lizzie, yeah, a million channels and all she watches is Poirot and Midsummer Murders. That sounds just like my mum. It's all day. If you watch too much ITV, I've told them this, too much ITV is bad for your brain. That's how people ended up voting for UKIP and voting for Brexit, because they watch ITV. It's an evil channel, as is Channel 5, but for different reasons. I've sat there doing something, watching my own telly and hearing what's going on in theirs, and it's like having a stroke again. That side of my brain that I'm listening to ITV is just slowly melting and withering away because it's utter rubbish. Good Morning Britain needs to be euthanised. Too much BBC. The BBC are not quite as bad because they have got stuff on there that's vaguely educational during the day. ITV is just shit all day long, followed by shit game shows, followed by news that I wouldn't watch if it was the last thing on earth, and then it's either Hot Fuzz or a Bond movie, and then repeat till fade. The BBC, if they got rid of the news and current affairs teams, because it's not fit for purpose, and concentrated on making science and nature documentaries, no one does anything better than the BBC when it comes to David Attenborough doing nature documentaries, Brian Cox doing science documentaries. Chris Packham doing Earth. Have you seen that? It's on at the moment on Wednesday nights. They make the Earth look incredible. David Attenborough's Wild Isles about the UK. They've been all around the world showing you how fantastic the globe is, and never seem to do it in the UK. So they've done a series in the UK, and it made the place look stunning, because it is stunning. Let's face it. Just seeing the beautiful camera work and David Attenborough's soothing voice. Yeah, the BBC do that better than anyone. Plus, they do some fantastic sitcoms if they allow them to make them themselves. I know not everyone likes The League of Gentlemen or Inside Number 9, but at least the BBC say to them, go on, you go and make what you think is the best thing you can make. We won't interfere. And you get something that doesn't insult your intelligence, that makes you think. Again, not everyone's cup of tea, but I prefer to have something like that than some of the rubbish that gets shown on other channels. And I thought apparently classes as comedy. Well, BBC are also responsible for Mrs. Brown's Boys, which I think should be punishable by being sent to The Hague. It's the lowest common denominator of lowest common denominators. And seeing people trying to get Daniel and Spencer to react to it, telling them it's a work of genius, is just beyond me. Yes, Steve, I am proper argumentative tonight, aren't I? On my soapbox. I have days like this. No one's there to listen normally. At least if I'm doing this and there's people there, it's not like I'm sat on a park bench just effing and lying to myself, which I will eventually end up doing. Let's face it. Yeah, Mock the Week is on every single night without fail. Oh, EB watched League of Gentlemen, didn't he, today? I forgot to watch that. I can imagine it was a bit too much to take at times. Americans don't seem to do well with some of the more obscure UK comedies or some of the stuff that's a bit weird for them. But, I mean, EB's normally sound with a lot of the UK comedy, I have to say. Things that I wouldn't expect him to have got or to really understand. He seems sound with it, but yeah, I can imagine the League of Gentlemen was a bit much for him. Although I'd like it if he got all the way through it and got to like it, get him to go and watch Psychoville, which was one of the darkest things I've ever seen. To this day, even the League of Gentlemen, they said that was dark, and then Psychoville took it to another level. David Sowerbutts and his mum. Jesus, that was rough. Absolutely. Yeah, there are a lot of knuckle draggers that follow. Again, that's what annoys me. I love watching ETS 21 and a lot of the other reactors, but I see people in the comments telling people to watch things. Like, you're not doing these people a favour at all. There's people in people going on about watch Little Britain, and if I'd have seen that before they suggested it, I may have just spoken to Daniel or Spencer and said, be very careful doing it, because I mean, some of it was hilarious, but some of it is dated like milk on a radiator. Some of it is just out and out racist and not good. I mean, Ting Tong, people blacking up, Come Fly With Me, Jesus Christ, that show is just one of the most disgusting things in hindsight looking at it now. And it's not like it was made in the 70s. Not like Curry and Chips and all them other, Love Thy Neighbour. And then in the comments, yeah, snowflakes. No, it's not a case of snowflakes. These things are just offensive. Comedy shouldn't be about punching down, it should be about punching up. That's why there's no real right-wing comedians, because punching down is not really funny. It doesn't work. So I think at times, if you're going to try and suggest to someone to react to something, do them a favour. Remember, they have to be the face of their channel, and they have to back up what they are reacting to. If they put something up and then they start getting people a real backlash against what they've reacted to, it can be quite dangerous. So don't suggest things that are not particularly well thought of nowadays, put it that way. I certainly wouldn't have people reacting to, like I say, Love Thy Neighbour, or even In Sickness and in Health, or Till Death Do Us Part, Alf Garnett. It had to be done at the time as a way of showing how stupid these prejudices are, but it's not necessarily for a contemporary audience. I don't think it'd work that well. Even reacting to it and saying, that doesn't, well, Christ, all my lights have gone off again. Must have put them on a timer. I don't think that'd work that well. So I think we need to be really careful in getting people to do these kind of things. React to that, react to this. No, got to be very careful. And some of the music as well, like I've said this before, listen to this, listen to that. Oh, come on, seriously. Give the boys a chance. No, it's not a power cut. I think I might have put them on a timer to remind me to stop talking. But no. And anyway, as you can see, ooh, the sky looks nice. It's nice out there now, actually. Yes, this is Ghost Hunt. I'm your host. Oh, I was going to change my name there to something else. I was going to change it to Clint Goulash, which I think is a great name. Change it by deed poll, but I don't think it'd work. Yeah, Lizzie, the thing about Alf Garnett, the racists didn't understand it, because the racists are too thick to understand it. So they're all going, yeah, he's the kind of person, he's speaking common sense. No, he's showing the people up for being as thick as pig shit. Why don't you get it? Yeah, the computer's still on. The computer didn't say no. There you go. A little bit of a Little Britain joke for you there. It's a shame, because Little Britain, some of it was genuinely hilarious. Tom Baker doing the voiceover for it was superb. But some of it was just downright nasty. And I think a lot of it, they done it because obviously Matt Lucas is gay. So the idea of, we can't be offensive because he's gay. So, you know, he's a persecuted minority, why would he ever go at anyone else? No, it's not no excuse whatsoever. Plus, David Williams, him and Keith Lemon, I would quite happily put a bullet through, a metaphorical bullet through, so they're no longer on the TV, in case anyone's watching who thinks that's a request for jihad or something. They do the same thing and I hate it. They will just put an S on the end of a word that hasn't got an S on it, and in the lisp, and that apparently is comedy. You've seen David Williams talking about what was it? John Craven's News Roundup. That's comedy apparently. Genius. Genius. Getting away with that old shite for all these years. No. It is ridiculous how dark that got in it. I need to see if I can do something add a little bit more light onto the situation. No. See if that works. Or I need to find a way of keeping them lights on for longer. I even bought more lights because I'm slightly light obsessed. I wonder if these will work. Little ones on. Yeah, I am absolutely obsessed with lights. Little floodlights for in the house. I've got them stupid OK Google lights where you tell them I'll be going for I shouldn't have said that. I'll be going for a piss in half an hour, can you put the lights on? Yeah. See? Just said OK Google and the bleeding thing went off. Back on, there you go. Yes, you've got Moldavans in your pipes. I think you can stay in the pipes as long as they're not in the bushes outside. I'll be alright. I'm yet to have a stalker. Oh no, actually I'm not. That's a lie. I had someone in work. Not someone in work. When I was working, someone used to ring up and I fixed the situation that they had. I work for sort of a government department. And because I fixed their issue and sorted out, they've been waiting for ages and I fixed it and everything was fantastic. Every time they needed something doing, they come back through to me or try to, which is not the way you're supposed to do it. I've fixed this difficult thing. Go back to the normal helpline, they'll fix you. They'll sort you out. But now they're always coming back to me, and in the end, I started screening my calls, and Dave one day, Ash, your Murray Walker's on the phone there. So yeah, I'm going for a pint. I'll see you later. So I did have a stalker just for a while, but no one that was outside the house, and I've moved since then. So hopefully they'll never find me. But if they do, send help, please. Please send help. Man, these got solar lights for your garden. Isn't that the sun? Solar lights are brilliant. Apart from, we've got them in our back garden as well. Apart from the fact that I was trying to take pictures of the stars and hyperlapse videos of the International Space Station going over, and you can't because the lights are on. As soon as anything moves outside, the lights come on and ruin your picture. So they are absolute pain. I will. Do you know what? I'm gonna have to try that again, aren't I? I might cover the lights up. Take my camera off there and put it outside while it's not raining, and see if I can catch any decent pictures. Because what date are we on? 6th. We've still got the Perseid meteor showers going on at the moment until about the 14th of August. And if you can catch them, I mean, I've seen some of the meteors going across. Stood out and just looked at them in years gone by. Having a time lapse or a hyperlapse camera should be able to catch quite a few of them. It'd be look fantastic. So I might have to try that again. I also need to try and sort out another sunset. Now that it's getting a bit earlier, another sunset hyperlapse. See if I can do that. That'd be good. The last one I tried, I didn't quite get the camera angle right, and there was cloud that stopped me seeing the sun going below, which is a shame because it looks great. But when it starts getting a bit later in the year, the sun starts going down around 8 o'clock-ish. That's when you start getting the pink and purpley skies. It looks amazing. On my Instagram, there are some pictures of that. Lizzie, I don't know if we can turn them off. I didn't put them up. My dad went out there one day with his tool belt on, so I decided as soon as that happens, I'm getting out of the way. It's like the start of casualty. I don't want to be involved in this. And then the following evening, there was just light everywhere. It was like being at Live Aid or something. It's crazy. Yeah, do you know what, Casper? The days are 2 hours shorter. I was talking to my daughter about this the other day when I picked it up. I think over here, every day is about 3.5 minutes less daylight. 2 minutes at the start and 2 minutes at the end, sort of. So it does add up quickly. So 10 days, it's another 25-30 minutes shorter. And before you know where you are, suddenly it's pitch black and you think, the day hasn't even got going yet. But yeah. Oh, yeah, that's the Perseid. There's another one as well, isn't there? Another meteor shower in December, which the skies are normally clearer for, but it's absolutely freezing, so you can't really go out there. But I'm going to try and do that this year. Oh, no, don't, Steve. It'll soon be Christmas. It will be, I know. Don't remind me. Jess isn't in here, but I need to tell her to sort out what she wants for Christmas. Lizzie, my dad looks a good cuddler. He probably is, but when he had his operation, they cut him from the front all the way round to the back and opened him up, which was horrible. And then when they put him together, he's got a lump on one side, so I think he's misshapen. So he probably looks like a potato now. So he might be a good cuddle for that. That documentary, someone put it up on YouTube. A Dutch fella put it on there that we didn't know about until he'd seen him on Facebook. But everyone who's watched it seems to really appreciate it. Thinks it's a good little film. It was supposed to be 30 minutes long, but when ESPN spoke to the director or the producer of it, Dirk, he said leave it 45 minutes because it looks fantastic. I think that's a really good sign, and we're quite happy with that. We come across okay as a family. I think my dad always comes across well. He's used to being in front of a camera because he's played football for all those years. But he comes across as a natural. And he's a decent fella. Everyone who meets him always likes him. Just that kind of man. So yeah, hopefully I've took on some of the good things, some of the good traits of him. I hope so anyway. As a role model, I couldn't have asked for anything better. He's a decent man. He's also fair. So I think I've been brought up to be that way as well. Even though I've been on my soapbox tonight, normally I'm quite forgiving and just always give people a chance. The way you should be, really. Everyone's decent deep down. Well, not everyone. Ian Watkins isn't. Thankfully, he got stabbed. Disgusting, disgusting piece of shit. Ian Watkins is from the Lost Prophets, by the way. They're a band from over here, and he is a repulsive individual who did disgusting things to children. So, yeah, deserves to be stabbed. Yeah, but here's Lizzie is a lovely man, and I'm always thankful when people say that I'm like me dad. Like I say, I couldn't ask for a better role model. He's a decent fella, and if I end up being half as respected as he is and half as loved as he is, and I've done a good job. Anyway, this has been 90 minutes. Why didn't anyone tell me? Before we go, I think Horace and Kippers Vindaloo would like to say something. Yes, do not follow them at all. No good can come of it. No good at all. Right, I will give you some of your day back, and I apologise for keeping you going this long. I'll try to do better in the future. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to hit like on the way out, because sod it, go on. Let's tickle the algorithm anyway. Give it what it wants. And you are a fantastic shower of people. I'm glad to have you with me. Yeah, my lights went off and I didn't take the hint. Well, yeah, I do normally try and set something to give me a shout to get off, but in future I'll make sure that when they go off, I go off. Thank you very much and hope to see you soon.